Okay, welcome back to my live stream. We are playing the second demo for Call Me Under by Lunaris Games. It's sort of let's see, how did they describe it? I have this up. Dive into the 1950s and explore an eldritch horror-infested world soaked in dark magic, mystery, and romance. Call Me Under takes place in the mysterious underwater city of Styx, a haven inhabited by humans, sirens, and a host of unknown otherworldly entities. Play the choice of two different faceless protagonists from the surface seeking to leave the past behind and start fresh in a new city, even if it is one only rumored to exist at the bottom of the ocean. So that's what we're doing. So last week we played as a human, and that's the unique thing about this is you play as a human or what's called the Skia, which is basically a half siren if I understand correctly. And if you pick a human, then the Skia character doesn't exist. If you pick the Skia character, then the human character doesn't exist. And these are the 6 potential love interests, and there are 2 poly routes. So we'll start here. Demo is rated N17+ for strong language, dark humor, use of substances, alcohol, and cigarettes, and eldritch horrors. All characters portrayed in this game are works of fiction, and any likeness to any real person is purely coincidental. Some scenes may contain mild flashing images. Lunaris Games production. Robbie Damon, ladies and gentlemen. So last week, this was blocked off with the confidential, and this time, the human is blocked off with confidential. So obviously, the final king, you will get to choose either. The story began long before you came into this world, when your relatives escaped the watery grip of Styx through unknown means to escape to the surface. The call of the shadows, however, is inescapable for a half-blood like you. It swells in you like a deafening melody, calling you home, back into the sea and the place that the light can't reach, into Styx. Headaches and other whispers your mind can't decipher plague you, but your soul remembers. Fortunately, your arrival was expected as it was ordained, and you were able to get a place to live and a job as a rookie journalist. You've been able to forget that you aren't necessarily here of your own free will, but you'll need to wake up soon and start asking questions before the deep starts to consume you. No. Okay. I had already come up with the name. I just have to go find it. There we go. Marisol Puerta. See her. City is Styx, November 1958. And I'm going to turn on the music. I can't even hear myself talk, really. There we go. It's lovely music, but I need a little quieter, thank you. I need to try and stay awake. Is that the truth? Not an easy feat when exhaustion is tugging at the edge of my mind. The only thing keeping my eyes open being the whirring of the ribbon of my trusty typewriter as my fingers move mindlessly over the keys. Sorry, folks, this is before computers. My family had a typewriter when I was a kid, but I don't know if we still have it. Well, that and the sound of my boss, Penelope Sinclair, rustling around in her office a few steps away. Occasionally I hear the clinking of glass, too, of drink after drink poured. I gather she's having a rough night, too. There's been plenty of those around here lately. You glance at the clock and register that it's barely 7. The boss is going to have one hell of a hangover tomorrow. Again. I stare at the sad, solitary line I've managed to type up in the last half hour, wondering that if I look hard enough, will the rest of the transcript just manifest? Yes. That doesn't happen, of course, but it does make me realize that I've made a spelling error. Great. Frustrated, I tear the paper out of the roller and crumple it up, tossing it in the direction of the nearby trash can. I miss, because of course I do. And you notice already this is different from the human demo. I start fresh, typing the same old words I could probably type out in my sleep with my hands tied behind my back at this point. Missing, kidnapped, presumed dead, dismembered. Grim stuff, that's our new harsh reality. It's seemingly the norm here in Styx lately. I try not to fixate too much on the names and the details, but there's a low whistle behind me. Hey, you done yet? I thought you're supposed to be fast. I don't have all night, you know. Okay. Just for the hell of it, pull out my trusty dice, which I should have grabbed earlier because I know it's going to do this. Okay. Got a D4. So odd number, first one, even number, second one. Even 4. I feel a pinch of guilt when I take stock of the ever-growing bags under her eyes. Things haven't been going well for poor, hard-working Penny as of late, and in turn that means things aren't going well for me either. Sorry, boss. I'll finish up as fast as I can. Get a view of the tense, rigid lines of her shoulders before she vanishes out of sight. That's when the guilt truly creeps in, taking frustration straight. Scott, it's a clear investigation. The door to her office declares, has been missing Miss Scott for a few weeks now, namely Annie Scott, Penny's partner in solving crime, and one of the unlucky citizens who went missing recently. I don't think Penny's got a wink of sleep since, and my relationship with my pillow has been on shaky terms recently. thanks to the amount of work that seems to be piling up and shaking my head. I press play on the tape recorder and get ready to type. But what did you see? You say you blacked out after she was taken. Must have got a look at the guy's face. That's the thing, though. That wasn't no guy. Wasn't no human. Yeah, you said that already. But it isn't like we have much in the way of humans down here. So help me out. Be more specific. It wasn't one of them, either. It was... Switch off the tape just in time for the rending that gently roused my desk to intensify. The light overhead swings and flickers dangerously, and my glass of water drops closer to the edge of my desk. I just barely managed to grab it in time. The quake stops abruptly. Is it me, or did that one feel more violent? Penny has reappeared amidst the unwelcome distraction. She stands in the doorway, tugging on a pair of well-worn heels, her coat draped under one arm. She looks unconcerned that the ocean floor just shook us like the fish in a bowl that we are. Something like that. She squints at me. I suppose you might be a little less... Geez, a little less bothered as humans, huh? Your sea legs are really sturdier than mine. I wouldn't go that far. Still getting used to being back. It's not like my memories of this place are so clear. I'd see that as a blessing. Besides, nothing can send Styx tumbling. With a sigh, Penny seems to reconsider her statement. Well, not from the outside, anyway. That's reassuring. Smirking mirthlessly, Penny throws on her coat. She strides towards the door with purpose, clearly not interested in hanging around to wait for me to finish. Go home and rest when you're done with that one. I need you here bright and early tomorrow. Understand? Oh, and lock up for me, will you? And then she's out the door and disappearing into the early evening atrium crowds before I can even think about responding. I hear the familiar soft click of her lighter before her footsteps resume and fade away. Now that I'm officially alone with my transcription, I pinch the bridge of my nose and hunch over my typewriter once more. Almost there. Just think about climbing into bed. Then it happens again. Shake, rattle, roll. Another quake. This time it's like a hammer swinging against fragile glass, the entire room shaking with the force of it, rattling me so hard I nearly fall out of my chair. I hear something shattering, not sure if it's in here or outside, but I don't stick around to find out. I need to go. With my heart in my throat, I stumble for the door, trying desperately to remember what I'm supposed to do in case of a quake. I can tell you. I live in California. Earthquakes are kind of a thing here. This fucking city. Out in the atrium, I stumble into utter pandemonium. Panicked people flood the avenue, pouring from the shops, a loud and anxious river swimming under the local establishment's bright neon signs. There is a stampede of them moving in the direction of the exits to the other areas of the city. It feels like the world is about to end. I look up at the ceiling and the murky seabed outside, expecting to see cracks forming on the thick glass. Is this it? I've barely been here a month after all the dreams and nasty little whispers that hoard me back, and this is how it ends? Then I feel a shadow looming over me. Not a physical shadow, nothing that I can see or touch, but I know it's there. I feel it there, a something pressing closer, closer. For one dizzying moment, I look out beyond the glass windows. I feel as though the currents of the sea are running deep in the marrow of my bones and swirling beneath my skin. I feel them churning and crashing, my heartbeat scattering into the low roar of 1,000 tons of water pressure. My ears are blocked, my veins run icy, but still, I hear it. I hear them. I hear them all, clearer and sharper than ever. There is that absence of sound, a heavy emptiness, that familiar nothing, and then everything as my whole world fades to black. In a flash. Somewhere in my mind I can see a window. One not too unlike those in the atrium, but in front of it lies a figure in a comfortable-looking bed, the shadows of the ocean casting in a gentle green-blue light. I'm caught by how beautiful they are. dark hair that falls in waves over the smooth, freckled skin of their shoulders, their lashes long where they flutter against sweet-fleshed cheeks, their chests heaves as they toss and turn and pant and transfixed. Okay, Eeny, miny, mo. So, got my D4, so odd number we look away, even number we look closer. Oh, it's 3, odd number, look away. I roll my mind to turn away as I try to focus on something other than the stranger who apparently speaks before me. I seek out the voices that are more familiar to me than those that linger here, voices that call out to me with a gentle song, seeking mine in return. Instead, I'm met with something else entirely. A symphony. Ooh. No, one voice, deep and rich, a sermon, a prayer. Something terrible and desperate and intoxicating that invokes an unmistakable sense of danger. It awakens a restlessness inside me, something that has been building alongside all the promises that the voices who whispered to me in dreams have made. Promises of a better world, of a savior, of paradise. But then it gets too loud. I cover my ears and close my eyes and will it to go away, feeling like if I let it in, then it'll gut me and leave me hollowed out and raw. When I open my eyes, the figure before me is still present. They shoot upright, sweat beading at their brow. And then they're looking right at me. Like this isn't a dream or a vision or whatever the hell to take hold of me when I let the whispers in. No, this is very real, and I feel the weight of that reality as I'm pinned in place by golden eyes. I let my hands fall to my side, that voice nothing but a terrible memory, and I stare right back. Who are you? Before I can respond, the shadows consume me, and I'm bathed in darkness once more. I wake early, and I don't remember how I got home, but I do know that my sleep was fitful and plagued with nightmares. I would say that was nothing new, but these were different. That voice sticks with me, haunts me, and whispers that were once nothing but a quiet, friendly call are now deafening. Like a death knell, like someone's trying to stifle them, and all they can do is scream. Lovely. It's a beautiful day here in Styx. So maybe I should have called out today after all. The clock on the wall declares that it's 9:30. I've been in my chair, turning the recorder off and on for the past 30 minutes, but nothing coming out of those tapes is sticking in my mangled mind. The piece of paper sitting in my typewriter stares up at me tauntingly. Still as light as snow. I wish my thoughts were the same, but instead I'm replaying what I saw last night over and over until I feel sick. I've lived with visions all my life, and those like me who live in secrecy on the surface have a pretty way of putting it. They say our parents or grandparents carried the sea with them when they walked out of the waves to join those up there, and that the sea never leaves us. Its currents flow in our blood, its whispered secrets beckoning us to return. In a way, I suppose, it's comforting. No matter where I go, no matter what might have happened to me up there, I always had a home to return to. Here in Styx, surrounded by the ocean's tumultuous darkness, the vision yesterday was sharper and more real than anything I've experienced before. So much so, I think I almost lost myself in it. I came here because I could no longer resist the call, much like how the pure-blooded sirens charm others, the sea charms us. Will I one day dissolve into sea foam and memories among the waves? A knock on the door halts the spiraling of my thoughts. Jerking to attention, I instinctively get up to answer it. It can't be Penny. I'm sure I heard sounds coming from her office, and nobody is scheduled to visit. Oh, hey, it's Archie. It swings open before I can reach for the handle, and before me stands a tall, broad-shouldered, and bespectacled man. He adjusts his glasses, looking annoyed, his mouth already half open, as though he's going to call out for someone. He stops short when he sees me, however, and blinks. "Oh, pardon me, I thought—" He clears his throat, seeming like he's struggling for words, then turns and closes the door instead. There's a brown paper bag clutched tightly in his hand. "A delivery for Penny? Can I help you? I didn't think we had any appointments today, but—" The stranger smirks. "Penelope has appointments now?" "Only for you, Arch." Penny emerges from her office, snuffing out a half-smoked cigarette in the ashtray on my desk, before leaning against it and raising an eyebrow at our guest. It's immediately obvious that they know each other, and while Penny isn't exactly smiling, she seems relaxed. Well, as relaxed as Penny can be, anyway. "Marisol, meet Dr. Archimedes Kishida. He's an acquaintance of mine. I was going to tell you I was expecting him, but I didn't think we'd be expecting him quite this early." "Well, what do you know? Having my entire clinic wrecked by drunks picking fights after I spent effort stitching them up put me in the mood to go through my old recordings. A welcome distraction." He turns to me with a dashing smile. "And please, just call me Archie." Smiling, Penny shoves her hand towards him, her palm upturned and her fingers wiggling impatiently as she waits the offering that the doctor has brought her. Archie holds up the brown paper bag, teasingly keeping it just out of her reach as he turns to me and gives me an apologetic look. "You're her new hire, right? I'm sorry for bringing you more work." "It makes no difference at this point. Just add it to the pre-existing mountain." "Hey, come on now, Marisol. Aren't you ecstatic about having something to keep you nice and busy?" The mischievous glint in her eyes is very telling. "You're doing a good job of that already." Penny smirks at me, then snatches the bag and empties the content on her desk like a child eager to open presents on Christmas morning. I spend the minute she takes going through them to study Archie further, but quick to discover he has the same idea when I find him looking right back. "It's nice to meet you." "Likewise." There's a moment of awkward silence on my part mostly. Archie nods politely, but he's borderline staring, stays curious and sharp. I feel like I'm being studied. Instinctively, I drop my gaze. I have a feeling I know what he's looking at. My eyes, a dull, honeyed yellow, a siren's trait, the most visible and unmistakable sign of the half of me that isn't human. Sorry, that was rude of me. You're not the first to do it, though. It's a lot less of a problem here than elsewhere. Like on the surface, I want to say. The one good thing about being in Styx is that I'm no longer some anomaly or fake freak. There are plenty like me. Golden eyes staring in from behind the city's glass windows, or the brighter ones worn on very normal-looking human faces, smiling at me as I walk down the street. I rub the back of my neck awkwardly. I flush away out of habit, and nothing good happens when the people back home start staring. But I'm not at home anymore, am I? "Well, Marisol, you'll be happy to know that at least they're all labeled." Penny finishes her assessment of the goods, and with pursed lips, she hands me a tidy stack of tapes. They're bound together by twine, and there's a note in foreign handwriting tucked under the string, listing what I assume is the details of the contents. "You're looking to hire another transcriber? Please say yes." Penny scowls at me. "Good luck finding someone else who wants to get involved with this mess right now, friend." "In fact, I was worried you would ignore my request, Archie. You were quiet for so long." "Ignore you? After you barely acknowledged my own correspondence unless I delivered it in person for months? Admittedly tempting." "Hey, I've been busy. This is—" She gestures at my desk, the tapes, everything in general. The stress lines are appearing on her face again, that tight around her mouth. A fucking mess, as you can imagine. "Don't suppose you've got any information about our newest mystery?" Penny looks the corkboard off to one side, and Archie drifts closer to it. I only need to follow her gaze. She flicks the poster, leaning against the wall with a resigned sigh before she addresses me. "And this looks familiar." So there are elements that are the same in each storyline, but the storyline itself has differences depending on if you're human or Skia. And I think it's pretty obvious why there's differences. Name is Egan Castor. His brother came to my apartment after the quake in a mad panic. Said he disappeared last night under suspicious circumstances, but that's all I managed to get out of the crazy bastard before he ran off. Men. Archie huffs a laugh and finds that he agrees with her before he turns relatively serious. Your guess is as good as mine. I was probably one of the last people to talk to him before he went missing, apart from his brother, but other than seeming like he was in a terrible hurry, he said nothing else. You had direct contact with him before he disappeared? Archie shrugs, looking pensive. Penny only frowns, but she doesn't push, nor does she seem in a hurry to press him further. So Archie takes a deep breath and offers clarification freely. Maybe it was my glare that did the trick. He comes by my clinic occasionally, charming guy, but he remains a mystery to me despite having known him for a while now, always anxious and rushing about. Just tight-lipped about everything. I didn't have time to talk to him because he will never let me have that time. Sure sounds like Egan, always charming his way out of actually saying something of substance, despite clearly not lacking great details. And now he's gone, it would appear. Penny's lips are pressed into a thin, razor-sharp line. After a moment, she sighs. There's just too many moving parts that we can only ever see half of, it's that. She pauses and turns to me with a frown. You know what? Take the day off if you want. I'd like to give these tapes a listen before you transcribe them. I need to think about reorganizing the priorities of the work I've given you, with Egan's disappearance popping up. This one feels significant. You two should both take a break. Doctor's orders? I wouldn't dream of trying to order an investigator around in her own office, Miss Sinclair, but it's my recommendation. Penny smiles. Just a tiny one, but it's there. I'd better head back in case I have patients waiting. Nice to see you both. I hope I never have to see either of you in my clinic. Oh, that's sweet. I won't be caught dead there. You never stocked gin. Please don't use gin as medicine. From his pocket, Archie produces a business card. This he hands to me. And this looks familiar too, I'm sure. What was he just said about not wanting to see either of us there? I said, I hope I won't have to. In these times, though, Archie shrugs helplessly. For a moment, he looks pensive, so he's going to say something else. Okay, so, dice again. Odd number first option, even number second option. 4. I flip the card in my hand, considering it for a moment. Business only? Or are you open to less formal visits as well? That depends on the nature of whatever you're trying to discuss. Penny laughs. Don't bother, Marisol. He never stocks anything worth a visit in his cabinets. He always just does bitter elixirs. No. Excuse me. Now get lost, Tushita. With a wink and a final smirk, Archie sees himself out. I wait until the door is closed and his footsteps are gone to speak. Nice guy. He's a bit annoying, but overall, yeah. Now, what are you waiting for? For me to change my mind about letting you off early? I grab my coat and head for the door before she can even finish her glare. Yep. Boss gives you the day off, you do not question it. Especially a boss like Penny. As I wander through the atrium aimlessly, there's a shop that catches my eye. It does this every time I pass this way, for reasons I can't begin to unravel. The small, gimmicky-looking fortune-telling hub nestled between Taiki's Life Casino and Aphrodite's Beauty Salon. The Killing Moon, its sign announces with a graceful flourish. Its colorful window is chock full of charms, oddities, and various posters insisting that the incredible Eve can tell me my fortune and what I ate for breakfast. This sounds familiar. I lean in to get a better look at one of those flyers. Yep. Right. It does draw you in, I'll give the owner that. Yet I can't shake the feeling that there's more to it than just a whimsical display that calls for my attention. Before I can fully control myself, my hand is already on the shop's doorknob, and then I'm inside. Excuse me. The bell above the door jingled to announce my entry, and a powerful wave of incense and the smell of at least half a dozen scented candles assaults my nose. The music that plays quietly on a record player in the corner is strangely nostalgic, and the door clicked shut behind me. I step forward, my eyes drawn to the shelves full of trinkets and gleaming crystals, the bright colors drawing me in. You're a curiosity, aren't you? More precious than any in this shop. And look, the tides have washed you right in. I nearly jump out of my skin as a figure appears seemingly out of nowhere. I sense their gaze after I hear their voice, their eyes blue and piercing and bright. Then I see the rest of them, a wispy figure dressed in all white with a cascade of red hair, a slim face, and slender hands. I didn't know any better. I think I bumped right into a ghost. The stranger smiles at me, their expression dreamy, if not for their unnervingly curious eyes. Looking for anything in particular, stranger? Oh, just looking. They grab a crystal off of the closest shelf and cradle it in their palms. Their long, light eyelashes flutter as they lean in, whispering to it. Here, Jet. If you're ever feeling like you might float away, this will keep you grounded. They lean in and put their hand to their mouth as if they're about to spill a secret, their voice a whisper. Good for curses, too. Curses? Gee, I wonder who that could be. The new voice echoes coldly around the shop. I look up and find the source of it standing with his arms crossed by the counter, a scowl firmly fixed on his pale face. The last demo, it was Adrian we encountered here in the shop. He looms, his presence almost oppressive. There's something oddly and eerily familiar about him, though. I can't tell from where or how, and he doesn't give me time to consider. You know what? I never saved it. Oh well, this is just a demo. As though sensing my attention, the man turns and frowns at me. At this point, the shopkeeper, Eve, also whirls around to face a rude guest, the shiny black rock still in their clutches. Enough of that, Blue. It's already a misfortune that you came into my shop. Now you're chasing my customers away with that face? The gall of it. I mean, he has a point. And you're not buying anything, are you? This Blue sneers, his lips curling back over perfect white teeth. I'm positive he's some kind of ghost or demon himself. The strange black tattoos that bind over strong forearms and disappear under the sleeves of his pretty shirt, sure looking like a bad omen. Victim, thanks. I watch Eve's fingers flex around the rock and wonder for a split second if they might turn it into a projectile. But then they shake their head and gesture, as though motioning for silence, and turn back to me with a sweet, coy smile. Sorry about that. As I was saying, Jet, yes? This might help you with your little problem. They slip the stone into my hand. How do you know about... I glanced desperately at Blue. He's been rude, but at least he distracted the shopkeeper from their hard tug for a second there. He mumbled something under his breath, and I noticed how stark the dark circles under his eyes are, a flash of macabre purple against pale white. I wonder when the last time he bothered to sleep was, if he even bothers at all. Does anyone get a good night's sleep in this city, save the dead? Eve purses their lips. I enjoy rude men who overstay their welcome in my shop just as much as you enjoy my useless trinkets, Mr. Castor. Perhaps a bit of banishing crystal will suffice, maybe 10, to get rid of the likes of you. Blue's mouth twitches in brief amusement, and he snorts and pushes past us, our shoulders brushing for a split second. My world darkens and tilts. I hear the muted rumbling of undersea waves and a dull cry that could be a voice or something far worse. something unfathomable and ancient and terrible. It reminds me of what I felt last night when I gazed upon the stranger in my vision. I blink and he's gone, like he was never even here, a dark void left in his place. Eve claps her hands and breaks me from my daze. Aha! The banishing crystals worked! What did I tell you? I force a smile, though even I can feel that it's shaky and unconvincing. Eve rests a cool palm against my forearm. Hey, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just might have. Okay. And another decision. If you're wondering why I keep rolling the dice instead of just deciding on my own, this is a demo, so it's not like the decisions are going to count. Because I'm just going to have to start over with the actual game. So why not let a form of RNG make the decisions for me? So odd number we go with the first one, even number we go with the second one. 2. Who the devil was that? Eve snorts and covers her mouth with a dainty hand, their gaze apologetic. Pardon me. He's no one at all. I find it hard to believe them. Eve squints and leans in like they're trying to see me more closely, a little uncomfortable as I lean away. After a moment, the shopkeeper hums and straightens. They put their hands behind their backs and close their eyes, tilting their head as though listening to something. Okay, this is going from weird to frightening. Can I ask you a question? That man, you called him Mr. Castor? That missing person poster flashes through my mind. Archie mentioned a brother, didn't he? Yes, I wish people weren't quite so fascinated with him. He's a load of trouble, you know. All jagged edges and wood splinters. The type of human that will cut you if you stand too close. But like divers risking drowning to find treasures and shipwrecks, Eve sighs gustily and shrugs, holding up their hands. Do you know where he's going? I might have some questions for him. So much for my day off, and if I can head off this investigation, it might give us a new lead. His brother and Penny's partner won't find themselves. No, and I think I quite like it that way. He begins to wave dismissively, then pauses. They consider me for a heartbeat with pursed lips. I can't tell what they're thinking. Before I can ask, however, Eve sighs and ducks behind the counter. But I know you're not going to leave it alone, are you? I can tell you're not the type. So here, consider this a new customer welcome gift. They hand me a card. Yep. And in case people were confused, the man you saw in the vision, well, not man, person. The person that was on the vision was Adrian from last week. So now we're going to go actually meet them in person and not just in a vision. Who is this? The one person closest to that mysterious Mr. Pastor, probably. Adrian's teeth are sharper, so at least they won't bite. They seem to reconsider that statement. Well, not unless you ask nicely, of course. Ha ha ha. And what will this cost me exactly? Oh, that's free. The city's already seen me with ghosts, you know. I'd rather not add yours to my conscience. Great. That's reassuring. He smiles beatifically. All right, then. They can keep their secrets, I suppose. So maybe it's poor manners to leave without finding something now. So, Jet, how much is it? You know what? You can keep that, too. Now you're being suspiciously generous. Pay me back with another visit. How about that? I see you walking past my shop a lot, you know. You must work close by. So drop in. You smile wider. I smile back a little uncertainly, then look down at the address on the business card again. The name sounds familiar. I don't know from where or where. Typo. But it feels like a long-forgotten morsel of knowledge. And if it really will help me find this mysterious other caster, I'll have to take it. Thank you, Eve. Come again. The peaceful streets of Elysium are a far cry from the bustle of the atrium and the upper levels of the city, and when I enter Adrian's studio, I'm struck by how spacious it is in comparison to the houses in Asphodel where I reside. So let's enjoy the clearly they let the artist go wild with what the art studio looks like. Because this is similar to what I've seen in movie depictions of artist studios. I am not an artist myself, but I would like to be. Or at least somewhat better than I am. Just need patience and practice. It's so bright. The windows are huge, and the view of the endless ocean outside seems somewhat less murky and ominous than I'm used to. I'm impressed by the sheer amount of stuff in here, from canvases to easels to an abundance of paintbrushes and other supplies, and this is definitely, unmistakably, the humble abode of a talented artist. Then I spot said talented artist, and my breath leaves my lungs. It's them, the stranger from my vision. By the way, they're looking at me and the clattering of the paintbrush that falls from their fingers and their wide golden eyes. I think they recognize me too. Hi. Hi. They clear their throat and avert their gaze, their paint-smeared cheeks turning pink as they run their blue hands over the front of their apron. The silence would be deafening if it wasn't for the sound of my own heartbeat hammering furiously in my ears. Do I say something about what I saw? Am I going to look crazy if they don't know who I am? Maybe they're just shy? Fuck it, time to break the ice. Sorry to just barge in like this. I'm sure you're very busy. The strange shopkeeper that likes crystals sent me. Adrian's still shocked gaze flicks back to me at that, and they seem to straighten a little, finding at least an ounce of the composure they lost the second they laid eyes upon me. Eve? I nod, and Adrian sighs, waiting expectantly for me to continue. I'm looking for Blue Castor. I blurted out before I've even thought it through, but the statement does nothing to pique Adrian's interest. That name doesn't ring a bell. Sorry, I'm Adrian Navarre. Portraits, fine art, advertisements. Their mouth hangs open as I produce their calling card from my pocket. Ha! Well, yes, that'd be me. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled. They stare at me, those eyes burning and curious, trying to suss me out, I suspect. I didn't sleep very well, you see. And there it is. Okay, I'm not going to let the dice decide this, because I definitely want to go with this option. I swallow loudly, my throat suddenly very dry as I try to find the right words. A disturbed night's sleep seems to be common around here. Adrian laughs nervously, their expression still stoic. I can't say I was shocked to see another body in my dreams, but your face wasn't one I was expecting. You were expecting to see someone specific? They sigh deeply, their broad shoulders slumping as they lick their sharp teeth in contemplation. They're clearly picking their words carefully, but I'm patient enough to hear their explanation. I have a somewhat frequent visitor, but regardless, I thought I was the only one having such experiences. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little relieved when I saw you walk through that door just now, to see that you were real. That means... Wait, I thought that all sirens and half-bloods have such dreams. Adrian stares, almost looking right through me. No, not all. Like I said, I thought I was the only one. At least I thought I was the only one who had such vivid dreams, visions, whatever the hell you want to call them. Anyone with siren blood hears the whispers and feels the pull, but mine are different, stronger, overwhelming almost. Can't remember the last time I had a night without them. The thought that I might be the only one feeling that chiding pull, the one that reeled me in and tugged me down here, back into the depths where I was born, where I belong. Home. But it doesn't feel like home. Not yet. Do you see him, too? Stop myself from my wandering thoughts and look at Adrian again, studying their hopeful expression. They speak in a hushed tone, almost a whisper, like whatever they're asking is a secret to be kept and held tightly. Him? Who? They swallow loudly, wringing their hands. He visits me sometimes, disturbs my dreams, the ones where it feels like something important is about to happen. It gets so bright, blinding almost. But then he comes and everything is, well, he's there, all there is. He snuffs the light out. Steve's all-consuming darkness that seems to engulf whatever else came before it. Adrian's words seem to get stuck in their throat, sounding heavy and thick as they roll off their tongue. Their cheeks are pink again, their eyes getting dark. From the way that they describe this visitor, you'd think they'd be terrified, but there's something else there in their gaze. Curiosity, maybe, but then maybe it's something else entirely. Something I can't quite put my finger on. Mark them down as scared and horny. You don't seem too upset about it. They turn their gaze back to the window and stare out at the green-blue hush of the ocean. I see the shadowy figure of a sentinel swimming by in the distance, and Adrian shudders before they face me again. I'd just like to know who he is, so I can find him and ask him why the hell he's been haunting me, what his purpose is. You spoke to me last night. Can't you just ask him? They shake their head. Oh, I've asked him plenty of times, but he doesn't answer. He does speak sometimes, but he... A pause, and mouth twisting to the side. He doesn't answer. The look on their face, I suspect that's all I'm going to get out of them on their strange dream intruder. I still have so many other questions. Why me? Why them? How did Eve know to send me here, to the very person who invaded my own dreams? Vision, whatever. Especially if they don't have a clue who Blue Castor is. Eve said you would know him, the guy I'm looking to speak to. You really don't recognize that name? Certainly doesn't ring a bell, sorry. I got a lot of clients through here for work, though. Maybe you could take a look at some of my stuff and tell me if you spot him, if you know what he looks like. I nod, and Adrian ushers me over to the wall, overflowing with art. Sketches I stuck to the stone, messy ones, and fully formed finished pieces. There are a number of canvases propped up against each other in rows, and more littering the floor. It's chaos, but the beautiful kind. I lean in and start looking through them, careful not to touch the art itself. I can feel Adrian looming close, watching me like a hawk. You're very talented. Oh, thank you. It's an honest living. I'm lucky that people support me. Not many here who can say that art keeps a roof like this over their head, I suppose. I snort and think of my tiny one-bedroom apartment back in Asphodel. I wonder if I should have picked up a brush instead of a pen. I pause, something catching my eye in my peripheral. I stand and quickly walk over to what looks like a fresh painting, still resting upon an easel, wearing the same blue that Adrian was covered in when I arrived. Those eyes, I'd never forget them. It's him, unmistakably. I take a step back, the intensity of the stare making the hairs on the back of my neck stand. I step on a piece of charcoal as I do. Hang on, I need to write something down before I forget. I look down to make sure I haven't ruined any of Adrian's work, and I see a portrait taped to the floorboards. It's him again, Blue Castor, but he looks almost peaceful. Not at all like the frowning, tired ghost of the man I saw at the killing moon. Adrian rushes over and steps in front of the canvas on the easel, almost as if they mean to shield those eyes from my gaze. Oh, that one is that's Blue Castor, and so is this. I point to the one right by my feet. He's the guy I'm looking for. You said you didn't know who he is, and yet, what are you hiding? Adrian looks like they've seen a ghost of their own. Adrian, are you? You have to go. I'm sorry, I have clients coming soon, and I need you to prepare. I'm sure you understand? I don't, of course I don't, but I also don't feel like pressing the skittish siren further. I can feel the way they shut down on me. Maybe they really don't know him. Maybe he's just a pretty face in a crowd that they took a liking to. Or maybe they were lying through their pointed teeth and hiding something, protecting him. I have my own theories, but I'm not going to say them because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I want people to enjoy the game when it comes out. Right, of course. Would you mind stopping by to talk to me tomorrow? Adrian is practically vibrating, restlessly shifting from foot to foot, wringing their hands. They're desperate for me to leave, and I've never been more suspicious. I dip into my pocket and pull out one of our business cards, and their eyes widen briefly when they take it from me with a trembling hand. You're an investigator? Has he done something wrong? I just want to talk to him, that's all. I see. I turn and head for the door, hesitant to leave. I truly don't think I'm getting anything more out of them. I'd really like to talk to you too, Adrian, about the dreams and about Blue. Stop by as soon as you can. Right. At least I know where they live if they don't show, I guess. I could bring Penny with me. That'd scare them into talking. I almost say goodbye before I reach for the handle and step to the quiet streets of Elysium, but I have to refrain. Instead, I exit quietly, leaving them alone with whatever thoughts they're having that seem to have rendered them useless. I'm suddenly far more interested in Blue Capture than I initially thought I should be, and I'm certainly none the wiser about Adrian Navarre and why it was them that the universe decided to show me in my vision either. Another mystery for the board. I need a drink. So guess where we're heading? And there's no better place for a drink than the Vanguard Lounge, one of the finer venues in Styx. The handsome bartender, Teddy, makes eye contact with me the moment I step through the door, mouthing, "The usual?" I've only been here twice, but I appreciate his enthusiasm. He winks when I nod, and I can't decide if I'm endeared or annoyed. I lean more towards the former, though. This is a nice place, and one where you don't feel like you might get your wallet or your soul stolen. It's spacious with impeccable taste in music, decor, and the menu, and the service here is hard to beat. Everything feels chosen with care, though the real draw of it is how easy it is to relax and let yourself melt in the pleasant din of Styx's nightlife. Sighing, I slide to a stool at the bar. A glass filled with my favorite usual drink appears in front of me. I look up to thank Teddy, but he's already busy with another customer. On the way, my eyes land on a familiar face. Penny raises an eyebrow at me over the rim of her drink before checking the contents stat and sighing as the empty glass hits the bar. And here I was thinking you were going to go home and sleep. To be fair, me too. She looks pensive and haunted, like she's only sent her body here to fetch a gin and left her mind back in the office. So that's pretty damn clear in the way she has a mess of case files spread out on the bar in front of her. That, unfortunately, reminds me of why I visited the Vanguard to begin with. You drinking? Okay, so... I haven't decided if I'm actually going to go with whatever the dice decide. I switched to a D6 since there's 3 options. So 1 or 4, I don't make a habit of it. 2 or 5, I sure am. 3 or 6, sure, especially if someone buys it for me. 1. I shrug and glance at the glass in front of me. It's non-alcoholic, that much is true. I don't usually let myself indulge in drunkenness. Now, that would be me, personally. But maybe not this character. But like I said, it's a demo. The whispers tend to get stronger then, like me daring to relax my mind gives them free rein to be louder about their bullshit. Since I can hardly control them, I can at least control what makes them worse. Only occasionally. That doesn't really count, right? Penny smirks like she understands exactly what I mean. So, I had a weird encounter with the siren today. Well, what's fucking new in this town? Despite her apparent uninterest, Penny listens intently as I tell her about Adrian. With the way I flash my skin over the bit about having seen them in my vision last night, I can tell she knows I'm holding back. Nothing gets past this one, but thankfully she doesn't press me on it. Excuse me. When I'm finished, Penny purses her lips. She takes another thoughtful sip of her recently topped up gin and frowns. I know them, but I know of them. Practically everyone in the city does. I hear they're a bit of a sweet talker. If you think they're up to no good, by all means, have at 'em. You think they just coincidentally have something to do with Blue and in turn Egan? Of course not. Nothing is coincidental in this town, Marisol. You can be sure of nothing else, then be sure of that. Funny about the brother's name being Egan. I had a friend in elementary school. His last name was Egan. So to me, Egan is a last name. It's not a first name. Still, just because 2 people are connected doesn't mean that connection is automatically relevant to the case. Which is her way of saying that I have enough suspicions to go on, but no reason to bring them in. The guy's a nut. Blue Capture, that is. He and his brother. But he's the weirder one. Egan at least always had a smile ready and the courtesy to be polite when he was lying to me. Recalling the guy in Eve's shop and his abrasiveness, yeah, that checks out. You don't think trail off as the lights dim and a gradual hush falls upon the night crowd. Penny visibly perks up, setting her glass down and turning to face the stage, and I follow her eager gaze. Yep, we're getting to see Calliope too. Oh, gosh. A spotlight blinks on, and a figure strides into it, all confidence and killer curves, heels clicking loudly in the momentary quiet. And then up come the lights, and it's her stage. Even from here, I could feel the stranger's calm radiance. The first time I played the first demo, and that moment where her eyes open and she's looking back at me, I audibly gasped. Because she was just, oh my gosh, she's just so stunning. Look at her. Really fucking gorgeous. And hopefully we'll get her singing as well. She smiles, opening her eyes, and the hush in the lounge intensifies until the music starts playing. I hear Penny swallow first, though, loudly. Same, Penny. Fucking same. Somehow the songbird catches my gaze. She winks, and then she begins to sing. Her voice is mesmerizing, soothing even. I lean closer to Penny. Who is that? No talking. I glance at her, annoyed, but Penny isn't lucid enough to care. She's staring at the performer instead, and it's not the sort of undivided attention she gives to her files and reports. It's something else, like a sailor lured by a siren song. Well, if you think about it, Calliope is Skia as well, so maybe there's an element of that there. When the song finally ends and the lights turn back on, Penny sucks in an almost ragged inhale and curses under her breath and shakes her head. Look, she's blushing! That's smitten, huh? Penny immediately gives me the stink eye. Watch it. I raise my hand to surrender, but I can't help one more playful dig. Maybe you should buy her a drink or ask for an interview. Come on, boss, you're a reporter, a detective. That's a whole VIP. Penny's face is turning slightly pink, and her glower is straight up murderous. I might have gone too far after all. Don't worry, darling. Penelope doesn't need silly little excuses to see me. I'm right here. With a wicked smile and a wink, the songbird appears next to us. Penny sighs harshly and fishes her lighter and cigarette packet out of her coat. I thought you'd be busy for the whole evening, Callie. Not for the next 15 minutes. I have to let the junior performers have their moment too, you know? She turns to me and leans in with a hand guarding one side of her mouth like she's about to tell me a secret. Penny groans. I'm nice like that. I must say, you being here is a pleasant surprise. I thought we'd really lost you to those dusty files forever. This Callie winks at me conspiratorially, but I can't help but smile. She sure seems to have a way with getting people to loosen up. Fortunately not. She's had well-timed interruptions all day. I'm relieved to hear there are others sharing my terrible burden of being the interruption, at least. Showing mercy to my now uncharacteristically red-faced boss, however, she turns slowly to me. And you must be Ms. Sinclair's new victim. Co-worker. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Marisol Puerta. Marisol Puerta. You can call me Callie. Even if some stubborn investigators still insist on Calliope sometimes, just ignore her, okay? Hey, you call me Penelope. Just returning the favor, sweetheart. Penny opens her mouth and closes it, then she gets to her feet. I'm going to take a smoke break. Don't embarrass yourself, Marisol. Callie here might listen to your secrets, but that doesn't mean she won't spill them. With that, Penny leaves. She doesn't go far, that much I can see, just a few steps away, actually. I watch her fumbling with her lighter for a moment before I turn back to the songbird. Chuckling, Callie slides into the seat Penny had vacated. She picks up Penny's abandoned glass and looks at it for a moment before setting it down. Are you new to the city? How can you tell? I make it my business to know people's faces around here, and yours I don't know, lovely as it is, but I do hope I'll get to know it. Smooth. She inclines her head, and though she smiles at me, the way she's staring, with those whole golden eyes, much like mine, is obvious. You from the surface? Yes. My condolences. I was born and raised here in Styx, but the story some Skia tell when the sea finally calls them home here, it breaks my heart. I can't promise you the city isn't full of trouble, too, but at the same time, I hope you'll find that you aren't totally among strangers here. At the very least, you're not alone, nor is Penny, now that you're here. Please don't misunderstand. We just have a working relationship, that's all. Of course. I hope I haven't made you think I assume anything more. All the same, any relationship is, how do we say this? Human connection. Precious things that hold us anchored in the trying storm. I fear these recent tragedies are going to stir up the worst of the city. Things better left to sleep. Keep your head screwed on, won't you? I'll try. Callie looks up and smiles at something over my shoulder, and I know Penny's coming back. Gotten your feelings straightened out, Penelope? It's been more than 15 minutes. Are you working tonight, or do you have some time to fill me in? Callie tilts her head and raises an eyebrow. I can definitely tell the juniors they can hold the stage for the night if you want to pump me for more information. The gossip's good. But it depends on how nicely you ask. Wordlessly, Penny opens her wallet and tosses down enough payment on the counter for both of our drinks, and picks up her pile of files with a hat and dumps them in my hands. I should stop being surprised at this point. Get some sleep, all right? You look like hell. Well, shit. Thanks. I'll put them in your office. It's nice to meet you, Callie. Pleasure was all mine, Marisol. She winks at me, then laughs sweetly and gets up. Penny clasps me on the shoulder and throws me a wounded look before she follows her. Shaking my head, I finish my drink and head out. We're almost done here. Because we've met Penny, Archie, Eve, Lou, Adrian, and Callie. So we've met all the potential love interests. But it's hard to know what day and night are down here in these deep waters. Styx is a different city come sundown. It lives and breathes come nightfall, the neon light lit streets shining that much brighter. The people who walk the atrium look happier, carefree even. I'm yet to dive into the deeper parts of the city, the parts where they say the shadows don't stick. I really do think I could learn to love it here. Not like I have a choice, I guess. I take a deep breath and stick my hands in my pockets, getting one last look at the bustling atrium before I turn on my heel and I see Adrian. Their long hair is free of the neat hue of their braid from earlier, and they're dressed a little smarter, too. Their clothes are distinctly lacking the wrinkles of a hard day's work and lashings of paint, but it's definitely them. I watch as they lean against the window of the killing moon, lost in their own little world as life swims on around them. Then I notice that they're watching something, or someone, quite intensely. I could take my chances to patch things up with them after the rather abrupt end to our conversation earlier, or I could watch and I could see what they're up to, if they're up to anything at all. Something catches their eye, making them stand straight as though they've been called to attention. Their hands clench and unclench restlessly at their sides, and then they're off. I catch a glimpse of a tall figure with raven hair and a long black coat disappearing around the corner towards Asphodel, and Adrian makes chase. Their strides are long and purposeful, but there's a degree of hesitation, almost like they're afraid they'll get caught. I keep watching until they're approaching the same corner as the man in black, and they pause briefly, glancing around to check for observers. And they see me, our eyes meeting across the crowded atrium. I see the bottom of their throat as they swallow, and the careful, subtle furrow of their brow. I take a step forward, and Adrian shakes her head furiously. A warning? A request? Either way, something inside me turns and tells me to respect it, to stay put, to let this one go. For now. So I stand and I watch the siren disappear into the darkness, and the uneasy ache in the pit of my stomach has me idly wondering if this is how all horror stories start. Welcome to Styx, I guess. Dun dun dun, to be continued. Okay. That's it for demo number 2. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do next week. But I think when Coming Under is finally out, I may go ahead and live stream twice a week. Do the Skia route one day and the human route the other day. Because I don't think I could stand waiting a whole week. But man, I love the music. Yeah, so probably won't do anything Sunday. I will stream something Wednesday. I'll figure it out. I pretty much exhausted everything that Lunaris Games has released so far. So it'll be a different company. But thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great week and take care.